Everyone in the neighborhood knew Elijah. He was the kind of kid who always smiled at strangers, helped old ladies with their groceries, and stayed late after school to help his teachers clean up the classroom. At just 14 years old, he had a quiet strength, shy, humble, and always respectful. But what happened on one ordinary Saturday afternoon changed everything. The sun blazed down on the cracked sidewalks of the small suburban town. Elijah had just finished his weekend shift at the community library, a job he proudly held to help his single mother cover rent. On his way home, he spotted something he had always dreamed of: a bright blue mountain bike, slightly worn but still gleaming under the sunlight, leaning against the wall near a local store with no lock or owner in sight. He paused. He didn't touch it, just admired it. His own bike had broken weeks ago, and he'd been walking miles every day to get to school and work. As he stood there deep in thought, a loud voice shattered the stillness. "Hey, what are you doing with my bike?" Elijah turned around and saw a man in his late 40s storming toward him. Behind him, a few people began to gather. Before Elijah could speak, the man yelled again, "You trying to steal it? I saw you. You kids think you can just take whatever you want?" Elijah's face flushed. "No, sir, I wasn't. Don't lie to me," the man barked. "I'm calling the police." People murmured. Some shook their heads. Others took out their phones. One woman clutched her purse and moved farther away. Elijah stood frozen. He hadn't even touched the bike. The police arrived within minutes. Elijah, trembling, tried to explain, but the officer seemed more interested in the owner's version of events. "We get a lot of bike thefts around here," he said, eyeing Elijah. "Looks like a clear case." Elijah begged them to check the store's security camera. Reluctantly, they agreed. The footage played back. There was Elijah, standing near the bike, but never touching it, never moving it, just looking. The officer paused. So did everyone else. The crowd thinned, a few people awkwardly stepping back, whispering to each other. The man who had accused Elijah folded his arms and stared at the screen silently. Then something unexpected happened. An older woman approached, her hands shaking. "I recognize that boy," she said. "He helped me when I fell last week by the library. He waited with me until help came. He even gave me his sweater." Her voice trembled. "He's a good boy." Silence. The officer turned back to the man. "Sir, are you absolutely sure this is your bike?" The man hesitated, eyes darting. He licked his lips. "Well, I didn't see him take it, but he looked suspicious." The officer's voice grew cold. "Do you have proof of ownership?" And that's when it all fell apart. The man stuttered. He couldn't produce a receipt, a serial number, or even a photo. After a tense silence, he finally admitted, "It's mine. It was abandoned. I just didn't want it to be stolen." The truth dropped like a bombshell. The crowd's mood shifted. Whispers turned to outrage. Elijah stood still, stunned, tears welling up, but not from fear, from humiliation. The officer apologized and let him go. The man who falsely accused him disappeared into the background, avoiding eye contact. But just as Elijah turned to leave, another voice called out, soft but firm, "Elijah?" It was Mr. Patterson, a quiet man who ran the hardware store across the street. He stepped forward, holding a set of keys. "I saw everything," he said gently. "And I also saw what you've done for this community. I've had this old bike in the back of my shop, fixed it up, just in case someone needed it. It's yours now, if you want it." Elijah's eyes widened. The crowd, once silent, erupted in applause, and the man who once stood accused walked away with something far more valuable than a bike: dignity. But that wasn't the only story that day. Of judgment clouded by assumptions and dignity restored by unexpected kindness. Just a few blocks away, another quiet battle was unfolding, one with echoes of shame, heartbreak, and the courage it takes to stand up, not just for yourself, but for your child. Single mom kicked out of restaurant. Seconds later, a billionaire stands up. It was a rainy Sunday afternoon when Clara entered the upscale bistro, tucked into the corner of a quiet street. Her 6-year-old son, Milo, clutched her hand tightly, his Spider-Man rain boots squeaking softly with each step. The restaurant was warm, filled with the gentle clatter of silverware and the hum of soft jazz. To Clara, it felt like a brief escape from the chaos of their daily life. She had saved up for this lunch. Just once, she wanted Milo to feel like other kids, to eat real pasta, sit on real leather seats, and not worry about peanut butter sandwiches in a plastic lunchbox. She had called ahead, made a reservation under her name, even brought a printed copy just in case. But as soon as they walked in, the hostess looked them over with a raised brow. "Can I help you?" she asked, her voice dripping with skepticism. "Yes," Clara said, holding out the reservation. "We have a table for 2 under Clara Mitchell." The hostess took one glance at Clara's second-hand coat, the backpack she carried instead of a purse, and the child wearing hand-me-downs. "I'm sorry, but we don't have your name here. Are you sure this is the right place?" Clara's heart sank. She fumbled with her phone to show the confirmation email. The hostess sighed and reluctantly led them to a corner table, far from the windows, near the kitchen doors. They sat quietly. Milo swung his legs under the table, excited. Clara tried to hide her nerves. Moments later, the manager appeared. "I'm sorry, ma'am, but we have a strict dress code here. It's not appropriate to bring children who aren't dressed properly. We'll have to ask you to leave." Clara blinked. "But I made a reservation. We were just seated." "Ma'am," the manager said more firmly, "other guests are complaining." Clara looked around. No one was even paying attention. Her cheeks flushed with shame. She stood slowly, taking Milo's hand, who now looked confused and afraid. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "We'll go." But as they turned, a voice cut through the restaurant. "Excuse me, is this how you treat your guests?" A man stood up from the center table, clean-shaven in a tailored navy suit, silver hair neatly parted. Several heads turned, because this man wasn't just any guest. This was James Worthington, one of the wealthiest businessmen in the country. The restaurant had his photo on the wall. The manager froze. "Mr. Worthington, I didn't realize." He raised a hand to silence him and turned to Clara. "Please, ma'am, stay. Sit at my table. I insist." Clara stammered. "I don't want to cause any trouble." "You're not," he said with a warm smile. "They are." He turned back to the manager. "Do you know what it's like to grow up with nothing? I do. My mother worked 3 jobs so I could eat 1 hot meal a day. And if someone had told her she didn't belong somewhere, I would have never forgiven them." The restaurant went silent. Mr. Worthington pulled out a chair for Clara and Milo. The hostess stood paralyzed. The manager's face turned pale. He sat beside Milo, grinning. "What's your favorite superhero?" "Spider-Man," Milo said shyly. "Mine too," James chuckled. "Let's order some pasta for us both." That day, Clara and her son stayed for lunch, But something much more meaningful happened. Dignity was returned. The world, even for just a moment, remembered what kindness looked like. And the restaurant? Let's just say, they revised their policy and their staff. Thanks for watching. If this story moved you, like, comment, and subscribe. For more powerful real-life stories, turn on the notification bell so you never miss what's coming next. See you in the next video.